I'm 60 Second Spidey, and I'm recapping every Spider-Man comic in timeline order. Here's part 1. High schooler Peter Parker doesn't have very many friends, but he does have the support from his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. He goes to a science exhibit where he gets bitten by a radioactive spider and discovers he has gained spider powers. Looking to make money for his family, he decides to become a wrestler. Loving the fame, he makes his iconic outfit and web shooters. After a show, a burglar runs by, but Peter can't be bothered to stop him since it isn't his problem. But of course, it becomes his problem when that very same burglar ends up killing his Uncle Ben. Once he realizes what he's done, he's determined to help people, since with great power comes great responsibility. It's been weeks since Uncle Ben's death. Peter and Aunt May are deep in grief from their loss. A bill collector comes looking for payment for furniture Ben apparently ordered, but they cannot afford to pay it. Peter later sees the man giving the same speech to someone else and realizes that it's an in-depth scam. He jumps into action, fighting off the gangsters pulling off the ruse. He webs them up and leaves them for the cops to take care of. At home, he consoles an embarrassed Aunt May, and they reflect on the joy Ben brought them. Peter is lonely. He's swinging around and happens to save some people at a construction site, but he feels like there was someone there watching him. He later befriends a superpowered girl named Joey, but when he tells her that they should use their powers for good, she destroys things and admits that she was the one who attacked the construction site earlier because power should be used for fun, not responsibility. He later defeats her in battle and she lashes out at him, leaving him alone once more. It turns out Wilson Fisk had been using Joey for his own means, and he vows to take on Spider-Man one day. Peter is getting used to being Spider-Man, but back at home, Aunt May is having money troubles without Uncle Ben. Peter meets up with his wrestling connection and agrees to go on TV to make some money to help out. But before he can get on, it is interrupted by a supervillain named Supercharger. He tries to call for help, but realizes that he has to take action himself. This is his first supervillain fight, so it doesn't go very well until he gets a little help from an employee. They overload Supercharger, and Peter realizes that these are the exact situations he is supposed to be helping with. Peter is worried about Aunt May's money troubles, but he can no longer wrestle due to J. Jonah Jameson's smear campaign against him. Meanwhile, Jonah's son John is part of a shuttle launch that goes awry, so Peter jumps in to save the day and change Jonah's mind. He hitches a ride on a plane, jumps onto the shuttle, and saves John's life, only to discover Jonah hates him even more now. Peter decides to join the Fantastic Four to earn money, so he shows off his powers to them. But he realizes they don't actually get paid to be superheroes, so he leaves. Meanwhile, the Chameleon comes up with a perfect plan. He sends a signal to Spider-Man, leading him to the scene of a crime that he commits wearing a Spider-Man costume, framing him. Peter chases after him and tries to bring him to the cops, but the Chameleon dons a police officer disguise to escape. He once again frames Spidey as the bad guy, but his disguise rips in the scuffle, so he gets caught. Peter struggles with the way his life has gone recently. A new villain is terrorizing NYC, Adrian Toombs, the Vulture. Peter reads this and decides to make money taking photos of this new menace. Unfortunately, the Vulture catches him in the act and easily defeats him, tossing him into a water tank. Luckily, Peter can launch himself like a spring and escapes. He comes up with a device to nullify the Vulture's flying for next time. The police are patrolling the skies, protecting an armored truck, but the Vulture comes from underground instead. Spider-Man intervenes and using his device, sends the Vulture back down to Earth, making sure to take some photos to sell the Jameson. Finally, a win for Pete. Peter's teacher has him help out an electronics expert, who sends him to the Tinkerer repair shop to pick up his radio. The old man running the shop gives Peter really weird vibes. Little does he know the man is actually in cahoots with aliens. At the lab, Peter realizes the radio was tampered with, so he sneaks back into the shop. There, he is attacked by aliens and placed in a glass tank. Luckily, there are tiny air holes that line up with the release switch, so he's able to escape, and he fights off the Tinkerer. Spider-Man flees as the shop goes up in flames, and the aliens escape in their ship. But it seems like the Tinkerer may not have been human himself. Dr. Otto Octavius is working at an atomic research center when an accident fuses metal arms to his body. Jonah hears rumors about the accident and sends Pete to take pictures, who discovers Dr. Octopus with hostages. He swings into action, quickly being defeated and tossed out the window. Doc Ock breaks into the Atomic Research Center, hoping to take over part of the world. Peter is facing self-doubt until the Human Torch speaks at his high school, and it motivates him to face Dr. Octopus again. He suits up, launches himself into the Atomic Center, where he does some quick science and comes up with a way to fuse Doc Ock's metal arms together and defeats him. He then thanks the confused Human Torch, who showed up late to the fight. Spider-Man is trying to fight crime, but Jonah's editorials have turned the whole city against him. He tries to stop a burglar, but it turns out the man is made of sand, so Peter flees the scene in defeat. Flint Marko robs a bank, thinking about the nuclear test that gave him the control of sand. Meanwhile, Peter meets the Bugle's receptionist, Betty Brant. He's still scared of fighting the Sandman again, but his crime spree eventually leads him to Peter's high school, so he springs into action. Classmates Flash Thompson and Liz Allen watch as Spider-Man fights Flint, eventually absorbing him in a very conveniently placed vacuum. Peter fights a pile of sand to recreate photos for the Bugle and makes some money to help Aunt May. After the Sandman fight, Peter's classmates all love Spider-Man. Fantastic Four nemesis Dr. Doom believes Spidey is a villain because of the Daily Bugle, and makes a device to communicate with him so they can work together. Peter meets up with Doom and turns him down, earning Doom's wrath. At the Bugle, Peter falls for Betty Brant, while Flash Thompson dons a Spidey disguise to prank Peter, which unfortunately gets him captured by Dr. Doom. When Peter hears this, he sneaks out and tracks down Dr. Doom to save Flash. He fights off an army of Doombots before the real Doom flees when the Fantastic Four arrive. Peter worries about Aunt May and runs off, forgetting Flash, who is saved by the Fantastic Four, and takes credit at school for beating Doom. Spider-Man accepts Jameson's challenge to fight the rumored man-sized lizard in the Florida Everglades, so Peter and Jonah jump on a plane to go photograph it. Peter makes an excuse to ditch Jonah, then finds the lizard out in the swamps. Seeking reptile expert Kurt Connors, Peter learns from his wife Martha that Kurt turned himself into the lizard trying to regrow his missing arm. Their son Billy encounters the lizard, but is saved by Spider-Man. Martha and Spidey make a cure for the lizard, which Peter forces him to drink during their fight. Kurt turns back into a human, but when Peter shows Jonah the photos, he says the lizard was just a hoax. Thanks for watching part 1 of my Spider-Man timeline recap. Like, follow, and subscribe as I post daily shorts and long-form recap compilations.